Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm Bill Thomas, and here's a preview of some of today's stories. California is ending its mask mandate in healthcare settings today, but not everyone is following suit. Two Bay Area counties plan to enforce their own masking rules. California's snowpack is now one of the largest in the state's history. Officials say the much-needed water will help with drought relief, but could also lead to flooding concerns. Educators and lawmakers in the state are calling for more fentanyl prevention in schools. Two recently introduced bills seek to do just that. California officially dropped its mask mandate for healthcare workers today, but two Bay Area counties are still keeping their own masking rules.
As of Monday, face masks are optional for healthcare workers, but two counties in the Bay Area are keeping the rules. Alameda County announced that staff would still be required to wear masks in nursing facilities. In a statement, the county health officer said, Alameda County is moving cautiously with our skilled nursing facilities because they serve a large and highly vulnerable population of generally older adults with complex medical conditions. Some of the most devastating impacts of the pandemic occurred among residents of skilled nursing facilities. Similarly, Contra Costa County is also requiring masks for healthcare workers in nursing facilities. This all comes as California Department of Public Health lifted the statewide mandate on March 3rd. It applies to healthcare, long-term care, correctional facilities, and homeless emergency and warming and cooling centers.
Speaking of healthcare, the California Medical Association announced a new car sticker for doctors in the state. If they're responding to an emergency, the sticker will allow doctors to speed while driving, but the speed limit exemption only applies when driving on freeways. The driver cannot ignore other traffic rules and must drive safely at all times. Also, the sticker can only be attached to a vehicle that's being driven by a licensed physician. Now, as the skies clear up from weeks of stormy weather, the latest snow measurement shows that California's snowpack is now one of the largest ever. The Department of Water Resources says this brings drought relief, but also flooding concerns. NTD's David Lamb has more.
The Department of Water Resources on Monday conducted its fourth snow survey of the season at Phillips Station in the Sierra Nevada, measuring a snowpack twice the average at this time of the year.
So for our survey today, we recorded a snow depth of 126.5 inches and a snow water content of 54 inches. That results in 221% of the April 1 average here at this location.
Located south of Lake Tahoe, the snow water equivalent measures the amount of water contained in the snowpack and is a key component of DWR's water supply forecast. The critical April 1 snow metric is typically when the snowpack is at its peak each year.
We're currently forecasting record-breaking spring snowmelt in the Tulare Lake region, which is ranging anywhere between 265% of average in the Kings River watershed, upwards to an absurdly high 422% of average for a snowmelt runoff for the Kern River watershed.
De Guzman says there were only 3 other times in recorded California history where this measurement surpassed 200% of the April 1 average. Those were in 1952, 1969, and 1983. Carla Namath, director of the state's DWR, says the snowmelt is a good thing for water supply, feeding the state's reservoirs, but the size and distribution of this year's snowpack poses potential risk.
The real challenge as we move into spring and summer, though, is flooding, significant flooding, particularly in the Tulare Lake Basin. The department is very focused on the entire Central Valley, including the Sacramento Valley, but certainly very focused on some of the challenges that communities in the Tulare Lake Basin will experience this year.
The Southern Sierra snowpack is currently 300% of its April 1 average, and the Central Sierra is at 237% of its April 1 average. Namath reminds the public to be mindful and stay safe, such as when recreating near streams and not driving onto flooded roadways.
We have this extraordinary snowpack. We know that the droughts are getting deeper and more frequent, and that means we have to use water efficiently no matter what our hydrologic conditions.
They expect to conduct another media-oriented snow survey at Phillips Station again on Monday, May 1st. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
Just like the results from today's snow survey, California ski resorts are also reporting record amounts of snowfall. Ski resort representatives say this year's ski season could be extended.
Due to snowfall totals approaching historical levels in the California mountains, ski resorts are planning to extend this year's ski season. In an emailed statement to the Epic Times, the Mammoth Mountain Resort reported 695 inches of snow on March 29th. This broke the resort's all-time record of 668 inches reported in the winter of 2011. A spokesperson for the resort said around 30 inches of snow fell in the eastern Sierra Mountains overnight, adding, quote, "It's been an amazing winter." Consistent snow has provided a boom for the skiing tourism industry. Several resorts in California have announced that they will continue operating into spring and maybe even summer. According to the California Department of Water Resources, statewide snowpack levels are projected to reach 221% of average. So far, this year's snowfall has totaled 56.4 feet. The snowiest year in California history was 1938, when 68.24 feet of snow fell.
The Biden administration has cleared the way for California's plan to phase out a wide range of diesel-powered trucks. This includes box trucks, semi-trailers, and even large passenger pickups. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, announced the decision last Friday. California's push for electric vehicles is part of the governor's efforts to drastically cut gas emissions and shift towards zero-emission vehicles. Governor Gavin Newsom has already moved to ban the sale of new gas-powered cars in the state by 2035. But the EPA has not yet made a decision on that proposal. Now, a San Jose police union official has been accused of importing fentanyl from multiple countries and then shipping it around the United States from her home. 64-year-old Joanne Segovia is the executive director of the San Jose Police Officers Association. Officials say she used her personal and work computers to order thousands of pills and have them sent to her house from places like China, Singapore, and India, which she then distributed all over the United States. Segovia denies the charge and told federal agents that a woman she identified as a family friend and housekeeper was the likely culprit. Educators in California are calling for more fentanyl prevention in schools. State officials have expressed similar concerns about the lack of protocols and drug programs in the school systems.
Education officials are speaking out about the lack of fentanyl prevention and awareness programs in California schools. According to the CDC, accidental overdose from synthetic opioids is currently the leading cause of death for people aged 18 to 45. And fentanyl is known to make up the vast majority of these overdoses. Dareen Khatib, administrator of health at Orange County Department of Education, told the Santa Cruz Sentinel, quote, "Prevention is not always prioritized, it's not consistent, and it's not offered to all children. Ideally, we want every student in California to have access to this." Tony Thurman, State Superintendent of Public Instruction, also released a letter back in October that addressed the fentanyl crisis among youths. He stated, quote, "The time to act is now. I encourage all local educational agencies to take immediate steps to educate students, staff, and families so that we can prevent unintended use of this deadly drug." Meanwhile, state lawmakers have introduced 2 bills so far this year that would provide schools with Narcan, a reversal agent for narcotics and opiates, as well as drug education for parents and students. This all comes as authorities continue to seize fentanyl imports across the state. Recently, on March 23rd, the San Bernardino Police Department announced one of the largest fentanyl-related drug busts in California history. Authorities seized $4.3 million worth of narcotics, including 10,000 fentanyl pills and 23 kilos of powder, which is enough to kill 11.5 million people.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. 2 school administrators in Southern California are being accused of secretly socially transitioning students' gender identities. Now, 3 school board members are calling for an investigation into the allegations. State lawmakers are trying to pass a bill that would ban encampments near schools and parks. But the proposal now has stalled as a handful of senators abstained from voting on whether or not to advance the bill. And an orphan puppy will soon receive a life-changing reconstructive facial surgery. The young dog was recently transported to California after suffering an alleged acid attack that injured one of its eyes. That and more coming up right here on California Today. Two assistant school district superintendents at one Southern California school district have been accused of secretly socially transitioning students' gender identities. The 2 administrators denied the allegations, but 3 school board members are now requesting an investigation.
3 school board members for the Newport Mesa Unified School District are requesting an investigation into accusations of, quote, secret gender transitions.
You know, if that happened with my student and I didn't know, that would be really hard for me as a parent who'd want to support, however I chose to support my student. I'd want to know what's going on in my child's life because, it's not an isolated decision.
2 assistant school district superintendents, Sarah Jochum and Carrie Torres, are accused of socially transitioning students' gender identities without informed parental consent. Both denied the allegations during the March 28th board meeting. The controversy stemmed from a public records request initiated by parental rights advocates. It uncovered hundreds of pages of emails which revealed that 23 students began social gender transitioning without their parents' knowledge.
And those that have been shared online, unfortunately, don't represent the entire conversation. Having said that, there's conversation there that does look scary, right? And it looks like as though there might be staff overreach. And so that's one of the things that we're taking a look at just to ensure that there wasn't anybody who may have overstepped their boundaries.
8 of the students were elementary school aged. A parental rights advocate told the Epoch Times that in all 23 cases, parents were either not informed about the initiation of their child's gender support plan, or the parents were told and did not consent. The 3 board members stated on March 19th that they found the allegations, quote, sickening and appalling. They wrote on Instagram, "We are committed to a full investigation of these claims and to making parents aware of what happens in the classroom." However, Annette Franco, a public relations officer for the district, echoed denials of the allegations in an email to the Epoch Times. Franco wrote, "We don't have any secret social gender transitions. We do not transition students." She said the investigation will be conducted by a third party.
Legislators in California have introduced a bill that would require big tech platforms to pay to use local news content. Eligible digital journalists and many news companies would be required to spend most of the profits on maintaining their productions.
In a press release on March 20th, Democratic Assembly member Buffy Wicks announced Assembly Bill 886, also known as the California Journalism Preservation Act. According to the bill, big tech platforms such as Facebook or Google would be required to pay a, quote, journalism usage fee to news publishers in order to use any local news content. The bill has received support from both the California News Publishers Association and the News Media Alliance. Both organizations have been advocates for locally produced news, free press, and quality journalism. Wicks says, quote, these dominant digital ad companies are enriching their own platforms with local news content without adequately compensating the originators. It's time they start paying market value for the journalism they are aggregating at no cost from local media. Eligible journalists and news companies would be required to submit a notice to a covered platform in order to receive compensation. In addition, the platform would be prohibited from any retaliation against the digital journalism provider. The bill also says that eligible journalism providers would be required to spend at least 70% of its compensation on maintaining or enhancing its production and distributing its news content. Homelessness remains a top concern that many Californians hope can be addressed.
But a bill that would have mandated encampments be cleared in front of public areas has stalled in the state Senate.
While the state's growing homeless population remains a top issue, a bill that would have placed encampment restrictions stalled in the Senate Public Safety Committee. Authored by Senator Brian Jones, Senate Bill 31 seeks to ban homeless encampments on any street, sidewalk, or other public rights-of-way within 1,000 feet of a sensitive area. Sensitive areas include schools, parks, libraries, and daycare centers. The 5-member committee voted 1-1, with 3 members abstaining. They did, however, vote unanimously to consider the bill again before the end of April. Jones told the Epoch Times in an emailed statement, "Encampments line nearly every block. Children are being exposed to open drug use and dangerous situations. Our current approach to homelessness is clearly failing, and Californians are tired of it. Our bipartisan measure would compassionately clear encampments near sensitive areas to protect our kids." The bill is opposed by nearly 100 organizations, including the ACLU, California Public Defenders Association, and others. Carlos Marquez, director of ACLU California Action, said that the bill was well-intentioned, but the organization remains strenuously opposed to a statewide encampment ban. But several local officials across the state, including San Diego Supervisor Jim Desmond, have voiced support for the idea.
An injured and orphaned puppy will soon receive a life-changing reconstructive facial surgery. The young dog was recently transported to California after suffering an alleged acid attack in Iran. Tomorrow, a local veterinarian at the Helen Woodward Animal Center in San Diego County will perform the puppy's eye surgery.
An orphan puppy rescued from the streets of Iran has been flown to the Helen Woodward Animal Center in Southern California. The young dog will receive life-saving eyelid surgery on Tuesday. Omid, which means hope in Farsi, has suffered an alleged acid attack in Iran before being rescued and sent to California. According to Helen Woodward officials, a San Diego resident had financially assisted a, quote, heroic Iranian woman who took in the severely injured puppy abused by transients who had poured acid all over her face. Omid has undergone months of medical treatments, but is still recovering from the trauma caused to her face. She is unable to close her left eye, which can cause discomfort and possible infections. Last week, the Helen Woodward Animal Center went public with her story. The center says Omid is a special dog with a year-long story that wound through cruelty in the streets of Iran into brave hands of kindness and onto a plane that took her far across the world to a chance at true happiness. People who want to help Omid with her surgery costs and recovery care may visit the Animal Center's website for more information. That's my.animalcenter.org/campaign/hope-for-Omid/C477576.
Now to NTD's Tyler Castillo for an update on sports.
Hello, I'm Tyler Castillo. Welcome to today's California Sports Roundup. Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani hit back-to-back home runs. Left-hander Tyler Anderson threw 6 shutout innings, and Los Angeles completed a series win over Oakland. Logan O'Hoppe completed a 6 RBI series with a 3-run homer for the Angels, who rebounded from a season-opening 2-1 defeat to swamp the rebuilding A's 13-1 and 6-0 over the weekend. After Ken Waldichuk matched zeros with Anderson through 3 innings, the Angels took the lead for good in the 4th after a leadoff infield single by Hunter Renfroe and 1-out walk by Luis Rengifo. With 2 outs, O'Hoppe unleashed his rocket to left center field for a 3-0 advantage. Angels 6, Athletics 0. Anthony Davis recorded his 3rd 40-point game of the season. LeBron James posted his 2nd triple-double, and Rui Hachimura scored 20 points off the bench as Los Angeles rolled past host Houston for its 6th win in 7 games. Davis finished 15 for 20 from the floor and 10 for 12 from the free throw line. He also snagged 9 rebounds. James facilitated with a plump producing a team-leading 11 assists in addition to his 18 points and 10 rebounds. The Rockets' starting backcourt of Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green combined for 44 points, with Green adding 7 assists. Alfred Şengün posted his 26th double-double with 18 points and 15 rebounds while dishing out 5 assists. Şengün added 3 blocks and 2 steals, grounding the Rockets from liftoff. Lakers 134, Rockets 109. Christian Espinoza scored twice on penalty kicks, including the deciding goal in the 65th minute, as the San Jose Earthquakes defeated the visiting Houston Dynamo 2-1 on Saturday in a gritty Western Conference match. San Jose is undefeated in 4 of its last 5 games. Houston had a 2-game winning streak snap. The Earthquakes scored the game's first goal when Houston's teenage Jadabe was whistled for a handball in the penalty area, awarding San Jose a kick from the spot. Penalty verified by VAR, Espinoza quickly took advantage, beating Dynamo keeper Steve Clark into the bottom left corner at the 7-minute mark. Corey Bayard's run into the area drew a foul on San Jose's Michael Badissimo to set up the table for Amin Bassi penalty kick. Bassi's right-footed kick beat Quakes goalkeeper JT Marcinkowski at the center and tied the game at 1-1. The tie lasted until VAR confirmed a trip in the penalty box by the Dynamo's Ethan Bartlow on Cade Cowles in the 65th minute. Espinoza was again good from the spot, this time beating Clark low to the right side to give the Earthquakes a 2-1 lead. That is all we have for sports today. I'm Tyler Castillo. See you next time.
That's all we have for you tonight, and would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday right here at 8:30 p.m. Also, make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage, and you can find that at ntd.com/California-Today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there ready to share with friends and family. Also, please send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, and that's california.today@ntd.com. I'm Bill Thomas, and for all of us here in the newsroom, have a great night.